Welcome to Level 3 Readiness. I've got something to tell you about this week because last week, if you watched the video, you saw me camping out in this while it was raining. And you know, it was an improvised shelter. So I'm gonna tell you about the improvised shelter coming up in just a second. Stick with me. All right, so I've got over here one of the poles. And you might remember the pole just like this one. I cut these for the demonstration of one of the ways that you can make a structure with a 6x8 tarp. And so I came out here with the intentions of setting that up with two poles and, you know, a similar structure as that. I got out here, it was starting to rain. I didn't have enough paracord. My 50 foot of paracord, I don't know what's happened to it, but you know, I was out here, it was starting to rain. I had to use what I had. So I put up this one pole, and I did it the same way I did in the kind of like the tutorial. We're putting tension on it here, and then we're pulling against it there. And so we could tighten this up right here. It's going to pull our ridge line. So, you know, I'll definitely tighten this up again and I'll show you. Then I had a stick stuck in the eyelet right here that was pulling up this way. And it gave me plenty of room. So I could sit down right there in the rain, in the pouring down rain, and actually have conversation. Talk about my kit. Everything stayed dry, and I was able to make a fire. You know, also looking at the floor here, you see you could actually sleep on this and, you know, really have enough room to sleep and be sheltered. And so I think, again, this is a great improvised shelter. Went over here to, you know, you do need another standing tree. So I scrapped together paracord I had, found a little hole right through there that I could thread that through, back around, and there we have it. Now what I'd like to have had was some more paracord to pull, you know, a little shelter right here, but all the rain fell here. We were back there. So what I want to do now is, I've got plenty of branches that have fallen during the storm. I'm going to cut some and I'm going to stick them up in here and give myself a nice little area and show you actually the kind of room that you could have in this improvised shelter. there you go. So improvised, very quick, and you know, really a favorite. And now, starting to rain again. Just we got a really nice shelter from the storm. Now, one of the things that I think is advantageous when setting up a shelter and it's raining, if you can do it, you know, now let me digress, or let me give you some conditions. First of all, like, you never want your opening here to have the wind blowing into it, right? And so that's the first factor. I'd rather have always my back to the wind. All right, but if my back is to the wind and I have the luxury of establishing a grade for my floor, that is a beneficial factor as well, because what that's going to allow is all of the rain to come this way and run down, not run, or all the rain to come down this way and maybe run over the corner, but definitely not run over here into the sleeping quarters. And so also it's going to run underneath the tarp and out from under it, rather than, you know, again, getting your sleeping area, you know, soaking wet. So again, I'm like looking at this, and I do know that I'm looking at should be 6 foot to actually lay down in. And so, you know, you can lay your sleeping bag in here and your head down here, whichever way. Since I've got some dirt that washed in the last rain, you can hear it's raining again on me. So, you know, that being said, let me go ahead and set this up and just show you what it looks like if I'm laid out. So, you know, I'm sitting here like right here. I could rest right here. I'm not getting wet. Everything's dry under here. You know, I also think about this aspect of shelter. I could literally let my gear sit off of the pad and me myself, you know, have something that is a ground cloth, so to speak. So, you know, again, what do we do when we're just sitting in the rain? Well, we play. We think of things to do. We can get our knife here. And we can think, is there anything to cut? We'd have to get out there and get wet and grab a piece of wood. But you know, one of the things I do show you me using, or you see me using, are some tent stakes, right? So, you know, out here in the muddy, wild yonder, these things just go in the ground really easy. What if I didn't have these though? Could I make a tent stake? So, let me grab a piece of wood, make a tent stake, and we'll see how it will work. come away with a stick that must go through the eyelet and must be able to stake things down. So let's see what we can do here. First, I want to take off all of my bark. I want my tent stake to be about yay long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down so we can get what we want out of it. Hey, there we go. All right, and so I would let this end be my stake. And you know, if it had to be improvised again and I did not have tent stakes, I would have taken my tarp in a torrential downpour. I would have made a poncho of sorts, and I would have sourced the wood to make some stakes. And then I would have begun to set up my shelter. But the stakes were an important part of building this structure right here. All right, interesting thought right now that you could take something just like this, whittle this down to a point and wedge, and you could actually, I'll show you. So if I wanted this corner right here to be staked down, it's now staked down. I could cut off enough right here that it's not going to be something to job myself in, but that would hold the tension that's necessary right there. But what about if I had to have one of my guidelines attached to it? Well, I'll keep working on that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back in to the knife and then cut like this. And what we want to do is make a, you know, I'll put the name of the cut in here. I call it like a J hook, but I don't know if that even makes any sense. But let me cut it and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so now, there we go. You can see the hook that we have. Trying to get it angled just right. There we go. And you can see the up hook on it. So what that would do is catch our cordage right there and give it something to tie off to. So let me go over here and undo one of my guidelines, and we'll replace it with this, and we'll see how that works. All right, there she is. Kind of hard to tell, but we're catching right there in the hook. Guideline's nice and tight, and our structure is up. So you know, again, when you're improvising, you really have to just use what's available. If you have paracord, use it. If you have tent stakes, use it. If you have a bunch of branches, use them. You know, again, I did not come out with the idea of intentionally building this shelter, but you know, with the resources that I had, I ended up with something I really liked. And again, put a little tension on this, it pulls this wall over here. So, you know, I had the little stick here trying to, maybe I need a longer one to get in there and hold it up. But look at there, play too much and all right, let me fix my blunder there. Right, there we go. And you pull on this one. I mean, really, if we had a guideline, that would be perfect. But you know, for an impromptu shelter, you know, I'm gonna give that a thumbs up. So you know, this is a short one this week, but I just wanted to show you, talk to you about that improvised structure, show you what you can do when you have to use just your resources, when you don't have what you think you have, you know, look around and get creative. I think talking about all of those skills for survival readiness and bushcraft, creativity cannot be underrated. That's not really a skill. You know, that's just something I guess you're born with. You can cultivate it though, and you can increase it by inspiration, by looking and seeing what others are doing, and let it inspire you to get out and try. But don't be afraid to try new things, right? Because this right here, it's a new thing, and I'm really liking it. All right, you might even see me doing my next survival challenge here in this shelter somewhere else. All right, with that being said, this is level 3 readiness, reminding you, finish what you start, finish strong, be ready for anything, because it's coming. Level 3 out. Play too much and